The People Playbook is for professional business owners and leaders who understand business rises and falls on people. You will hear practical, real-world conversations on clear leadership, smart hiring, and building strong teams. All formulas for retention. Get ready to hear your professional peers and industry experts as they discuss lessons learned and best practices. Get that journal out. You'll be taking lots of notes.
This is Coach Cora, and welcome to the People Playbook. After 25 years as an organizational development practitioner, I have found that most leaders have a strategy to grow the business. But the business also needs a plan for growing people. Trying to grow a business without the talent and skills in place to deliver is an uphill climb. The People Playbook is where business strategy meets people strategy, because when you develop your people, you grow your business. Listen to learn from industry professionals and your business peers. What have they learned? What has worked? And what are some best practices? Because when the talent piece comes together, everything else falls into place. Businesses rise and fall on people, so let's jump in and learn more about the people side of business. Today's guest is one I have a personal, deep respect for. I have had the opportunity to see his results of his leadership, to observe him in action, and to personally experience his leadership. Col Irick is a role model of what putting people first looks like in action. He has so much to teach others about leadership, particularly the humility he brings with it. Col, I'm really happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Cora.
I appreciate you being here, and I am so confident this is going to be a good conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I've watched you do, and I've mentioned this to you before, and I've applauded it from the back of the room, is when you come in and you're allotted a time frame as a leader to talk to people, you come in and you sit down and you say, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? What do you need? How's it going? You listen first, and you really have this part that says, what are your challenges? What are your experiences? And then you don't leave without saying, here's my expectations. So you really connect with them as the people first and then get into the expectations with, by the way, strong clarity. So we'll get into the why and how of that a little bit. But first, let's get some context of who you are. Can you summarize 27 years in the United States Air Force?
Yeah, I'll try to do what I can, Cora. Thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to join you today. Origin story. Col Irick, born and raised Greenville, South Carolina. Mother is an educator. Father was a general contractor who also served in the Army Reserves. He finished as a command sergeant major. So I kind of understand a little bit about military growing up. Yeah. Both my grandfathers served in World War II, so I got a family who's been dedicated to service. And then my time growing up in high school, I was an athlete. I was also one of those kids who was a smart athlete. I understood that, hey, there's opportunities beyond the field. Played soccer majority of my time, but I also did a couple other sports that kind of just gave me an opportunity to be a good foundation of being a teammate, but also understanding how to work in different areas. Yeah. During my time of high school, I said, hey, I want to find something that I really want to push myself for. So I looked into the Air Force Academy. And I ended up going to the Air Force Academy, starting in the prep school, and then I graduated from the academy in 1999. Along the way, I've had the pleasure and honor of meeting amazing people, building relationships, building friendships, but also getting to understand how to navigate different spaces and how to apply my leadership skills. And that's where I can honestly say the academy gave me that foundation. Going into the military, I took a path that was a little bit different. I started off saying, hey, I'll do the fly thing. But then I got to a place where on 8 December 2000, the Combat Rescue Officer career field came open. And I made a decision of, hey, that's what I want to go do. It wasn't open for me at the time. And then I, got myself ready. Yeah. I was in pilot training at 8 December. By 22 December, I was out. The following year, I was training, get myself ready. And then I started the pipeline. And then it's been a joy. It's been a blessing to be in a career field where the focus is on taking care of others, but also taking care of your teammates. Yeah. So the environment of, taking care of others is what we do. Our motto and our creed is that others may live, because we're willing to go into places that can be pretty dangerous. And many times people say, hey, it's not possible. We figure it out. We're problem solvers. And we figure out how to get someone back to their loved ones, but also to make sure that they can actually be able to continue to fight. And that lets a lot of people feel comfort when they go into harm's way because people know there's someone who's coming to do it. But along the way, I've had opportunity to do blessings of jobs, of different abilities to develop that leadership. Squadron command, staff, working for senior leaders, then the opportunity to be a senior leader at 37th Training Wing, which is the basic military training and initial skills training for a lot of the airmen in the Air Force, as well as the Special Warfare Training Wing, so the development of next generation of Special Warfare airmen. And then the blessing that I had to meet you was with Air Force Wounded Warriors, where the job in itself is amazing because my focus is just that, to take care of the wounded, ill, and injured. Right. You can't get around it. You can't hide from it. Right. And I was blessed that one of my former bosses told me, if you're going to do anything, the first thing you want to do is listen. And that's where I took that step, because he was amazing in how he would come into a room, sit down and listen before he started giving out guidance. Yeah. And I tried to emulate what he taught me, and I've been successful based on what you've told me. And
yes. And speaking of AFW too, I think what is so interesting, to your point, when you're leading towards and others towards a mission, it evokes such a powerful sense of purpose and loyalty and drive. It's that purpose, right? Yeah. And we see that at AFW too. Yeah. That people actually will go to an extent where they're so committed to caring for others that they forget to take care of themselves. Yeah. And that was really something interesting to watch about AFW too. And then you talked a little bit about being in sports and the power of sports and discipline and purpose, right? Yeah. There's so many of those warriors that have come in and, whether by choice or by force, had to take a knee, right? Mm-hmm. And that putting them in those adaptive sports and giving them that purpose again is what put them back in the fight.
It put them back in the fight, but also gave them a sense of purpose. Yeah. It gave them a sense of community, because many times people may have gone through some type of struggle or some type of trauma, and they didn't have an opportunity to really connect with anyone else because they were kind of isolated because they were going through it by themselves. That's right. And with Wounded Warrior, what they had is an opportunity to meet others who were going through similar struggles, but also to feel like they could find their voice again and share their pain, their grief, their story. Right. And above all, they leave feeling like, hey, I was seen and I was heard. And by doing that, they now have the opportunity to continue serving if they really want to continue to serve. If the community can assist them, AFW2 or, the actual process, to work to get someone back to the fight. If we can do the best we could, we would do that. Right. If we're not able to, we had a plan to help them transition. Right. And that transition is just one of those conversations of some people weren't prepared to lose their career or lose, the thing that their livelihood. That's right. And they had to start preparing themselves. But we wanted to set the stage so that they had not only the skills, but the knowledge, but also knew where the resources were. And they were able to go do whatever they wanted to do in the next life.
Yeah. And as a leader in the military, I think it's really interesting to watch is the military can create, again, such a passion and such a loyalty that these people that are now they're grounded and all they want is to be back. Mm-hmm. And I think a great lesson for leadership that I've observed there is so many organizations really focus on what's the process? What's the system? What's the structure? What do we push people through? But what is best for people is that human connection. To your point, even at my worst moment, what gets me through is human connection. Yeah. Feeling heard, feeling valued. Because some of the things that hurt the most is when somebody has given it their all and then they feel dismissed or devalued. Yeah.
And many times I was the one who would step in the fray because they didn't have leadership that was actually listening. They didn't have leadership that was supporting them. And, it's very disheartening to see leaders not stepping up to do what they're supposed to do. Lead and take care of their people. Yeah. If they're not taking care of their people, I don't know how they're going to execute their mission.
Right. And I know you've sat down and had some really good conversations. Yeah. Advocating for others is what you do, but also coaching and mentoring others. Because I don't know that leaders always realize the impact they have on others. And one of the things that you had talked about, if you have a group and you're leading them, and maybe it's a time of change, maybe it's a time of chaos, high stakes. You were talking about, hey, we need to first understand, you need to understand who I am, where I come from, and then I'll get to the expectations. Yeah. And what does that look like in action?
So for me, one of the things I try to do, much like you say, when I came into the room, I would try to sit down because I don't want to speak from a place of, hey, I'm above you. No, I want to get on their level because at the same time, I need you to know who I am because I want you to understand my experiences and my the opportunities I've had to grow and the opportunities I've had to learn, I want to be able to, let you know, hey, here's my background. Here's my origin story. Here's my resume. Just like I kind of told you a little bit about my parents, but I also tell them about my family. Yes. And when I share about my family is let them know, hey, I am a person. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. And I let them know this because I want them to know I'm also going through life. But our goal together is to be able to say, hey, we're going to come together as a family. And I want us to be a functioning family. Many times we got dysfunctional family, but
we're not going to be a dysfunctional one.
I want us to be a functioning family going towards the same goal. But by sharing that, they can get a better understanding of who I am. So it's not like, hey, I don't know this person. I don't touch this person. Because then by sharing who I am, I want to get to know about them a little bit. And then by getting to know a little bit about them, what are their concerns? What are their issues?
Yeah.
Because by me listening to that piece, I can make sure that I'm focused on those things as well when I'm trying to execute the mission.
Right. And then, of course, like everybody else, I'm going to set clarity of expectations, which you do very well. Yeah. Right? And you like to measure expectations so that people know what a good job looks like and be proactive.
And I think in setting expectations, it then comes to, hey, you've got a responsibility.
Right.
And here's what I need you to go do. Here's your role on my team.
Here's your
role in the household.
Yes.
I need you to do dishes. I need you to do dishes. I need you to take out trash. Take out the trash.
That's right.
But when we come together, we want to make sure everybody has what they need to be able to do the job. And everybody feels like they have a safe space. And I like to make sure that I set the environment so everyone can be seen, they can be heard, but they can also feel like, hey, I got a place where I feel protected and I feel valued. It's one of the things, some spaces don't always make you feel valued.
That's right.
Even though you might show up in someone's workspace, that's sometimes people saying, hey, what are you doing? You're coming to my space. I come to your space because I want to understand you. I want to be able to understand what are the resources you have or the resources you need to be able to execute your job. Because if you don't have those, then you're not able to do to your optimal level. That's right.
This is Coach Cora, and you're listening to the People Playbook on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And we are visiting with Colonel Col Irick of the United States Air Force, who is sharing with us some of his perspectives and what he's learned about leadership, specifically in change with high stakes and during some chaotic times. I know a lot of organizations have mission statements. They have a vision, mission, values. We know that the military has a very clear mission. I'm not sure that all leaders understand how to use that effectively. It's one thing to have one and to spend a lot of time with all the right words. But you have to put that mission into action. What are some things that you have seen shows that the mission is in action, which is different from a poster?
Let me make sure I heard you. You want to be able to explain how you feel the mission is in action, but getting people to understand what the mission is.
And to act on it.
And that's one of the things that I like to do. I like to get people's feedback of, hey, what is it do you think you do here? What do you do?
I like that. Yeah, love that.
And by doing that, it becomes hey, well, this is what I know I do. This is what I do. Okay, well, what is our mission? And sometimes people aren't always on the same page. So then you have to kind of redirect everybody to, hey, here's what our mission is. Here's what our core things that we're going to do. And here's how we're going to execute our mission, because those expectations set the stage.
Right.
Now, as we go and execute the mission, it becomes, hey, well, here's what your job is. Here's what your role is in executing that mission. And I need you to take ownership. Because if you take ownership, now you've not only just taken part of the mission, but you've taken ownership of the mission. Now you're committed to it. And,
right.
And that commitment allows them to say, hey, now I know what my role is every day I show up. And when you set the environment so everybody's happy to come to work, they feel like they're included, they feel like they're valued. Now they got an actual purpose. People want to have a purpose.
They
and that's
do.
where we try to make sure everybody knows what our mission is, because if you stay focused on the mission, here are the values that we have. Here are the things that I want to be your guiding principles. Whatever there's a question, here's kind of the commander's intent.
Here's how you make that decision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And ownership does drive commitment.
Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to empower you because you're giving them the filter.
Yeah.
Here are the decision criteria, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've sat in board meetings with top executive leadership and asked questions like, in your own words, what is the purpose? What is the mission here? And even though they can quote the mission statement, you're right. All around the room, everybody has very different expectations. And then what happens, and I know you've probably seen this, is I start driving for my agenda. And I act differently when I'm driving for my agenda, protecting my turf, wanting my needs met than how I behave when I'm collectively working towards a group mission.
Yeah. And the collective self is a true statement, because when I ask people, hey, what is a mission? I also ask for their feedback. What can we do better?
I like that.
What was not done right?
Yeah.
What were you not heard about before?
I think that's one of the first questions you asked when you came into AFW too.
I always ask for feedback, and then I ask what else, and you'll hear people say, I'll ask what else, and then people are like, oh, you want to know what else? And I'm like, well, keep putting it out there. Mm-hmm. I want to hear it. I want to know it. And then once we put those things out there, I'm like, are those things that you want to actually solve, or you just wanted to be heard? And once they've been heard, I need you to now move those things out the way. And I need you to focus on the primary focus. Right. And if you get everybody to kind of now take ownership, you've now been honest about what it is you say we do.
Right.
Now there's no misunderstanding of what you're supposed to be doing. Now I need you to go do it.
And why?
Yeah.
And why? Mm-hmm. In fact, I remember when you were first on at AFW2 and I got the call. So the colonel wants to know how you can make it better. Can you make it better? Is there something you want to do that's better? Whoa, yes. Right? And it was so exciting to not just deliver on expectations, to have the opportunity. What would make it better?
Yeah.
Right? And I love that. It's exciting and it's engaging, right? Now I'm given ownership of overall, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Now, how do you make that better?
Yeah.
Right. And I think one of the things you do well is we're not going to just say, I'm going to keep telling you what the vision, mission, values are. I'm going to come in and say, what do we need to shift? What's working? Are we on the right course? Are we doing the right things? And then you're giving that ownership. And honesty is an interesting word. Honesty, integrity, we all say we want it, but we don't always get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes we didn't really want honesty. We just wanted you to say you're being honest, right?
Yeah. And one of the things I always tell people is, I want you to be honest. Sometimes I want you to be brutally honest and tell me the truth.
Right.
Because if you do that, now I can start gaining that trust. Because I need that trust for you to be able to go do the job, because I'm going to trust you to do the job. I'm going to give you the ownership of that responsibility.
Right.
And then I'm going to step back and let you do the job.
Right.
And if you know my expectations, you know the boundaries,
right,
then I don't see any issue, because I then have to do my job of taking care of you so that you can do the job.
And holding you accountable to what you said you were going to do,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so if there is a challenge, what you're not waiting for is, well, I'm going to go in and be watching you and micromanaging you to see if you're doing the honesty is, if there's a challenge, it's your job
to solve the problem.
And
I grew up in a community where if you have a problem without a solution, you're going to have a problem. And I tell everybody, I need you to come with a solution. I don't need you to bring me your problems, because if you bring me your problem, I will solve it. It may not be the way you want it to be solved.
Right.
But the problem got solved because I may see the problem differently.
Right.
And that's also that part of the ownership.
And you won't like the way I solve
it. Yeah. And I'm quick to let people know, hey, I can solve your problem for you. And they're like, whoa, sir, I got it. I'm like, good. So then go do it. I'm like, I trust you.
Right.
Make good decisions. Understand that we have to do things for the people we work for, but also to make sure that we're doing things the right way.
Right. Well said. This is the People Playbook with Coach Cora, and today's sponsor is Bamboo HR. I partner with them to help business owners create stronger onboarding experiences and improve retention as they grow. If today's conversation resonates, you can connect with Cora to learn more at coachcora.com/bamboohr. Find out why we say solving people problems and growing pains isn't just doable, it's bambooable. This is Coach Cora. You're listening to the People Playbook. Today we are here with Col Irick. And Trey is an amazing human being. He's an exceptional leader. And we're just talking about leadership and how the power of connecting with people first and then expectations second helps in leading through chaos, change, and high-stakes situations. One of the other things I'd love to hear your thoughts about, because I know we've talked about it, and I know you do it, is you talk about showing up in their world. So we've had conversations about them coming and hearing the mission, agreeing to the mission, giving feedback, giving ownership. But you also talk about leadership's role in going to, not always bringing them to your world. This is what we're here to do, but going to their world. What do we get when we go into their world? Showing
up in their world means more of not just being an observer, not just a hope that works for you, go see what their workspace looks like. Go see what they're dealing with. Yeah. But also get to go see them work, because more times than not, people like to show you what they're doing. They want to explain to you what they're doing. And all they want to do is share. Yeah. I'm an inquisitive person. I will always come and see and ask questions. Yes. Sometimes people say, hey, whoa, sir, I wasn't expecting that little question. I'm like, well, if you brought me in, I'm going to ask you. And, you know, that opens up that honest feedback, you know, sometimes of, well, hey, I don't know that. Okay, well, good. Then that means we need to get you the tools or the resource to give you that knowledge so you can go do the job. But by showing up in their spaces, what you really get to do is you get to see what challenges they may be dealing with, but also to get to just allow them to show you something. Right. People like to be seen. People like to share. Yeah. So come out and be participating. I'm a participating person. You know, I would go and with Air Force Wounded Warrior, what I would do is I would come and sit in sessions. Yeah. I would sit in sessions in the back. I would sit in the classrooms. Yeah. Before I would just start, you know, sitting up front and people start introducing me, because I want to see what people are dealing with. I want to see what's going on. I would always, you know, come and do a workout every once in a while, because hey, they get to see me play. They get to see me get out there and do different activities, because now they get to see me just being another person. Being another human. Yeah. And they get to see a competitive side too. Because I'm like, hey, you can catch an L just like everybody else. Yeah.
You know, in a lot of construction and manufacturing and other industries, there's a mantra, go out on the floor and say hi to your people. And I don't know that leaders all really know what that looks like. I'm out on the floor. I checked the box. I did it 3 times this week. And I think being out there is so important. I do survey after survey after survey, and it comes back. Leaders are always surprised when the people of the organization say, we don't see you enough. and one of the things they tell leaders, like, well, usually we thought they don't want us out there. And what they don't want is you going out there and telling them 6 ways until Sunday they're doing stuff wrong. Yeah. That's not what they're asking.
And I can honestly say I've been blessed because I will show up in workspaces and I will say, hey, show me what you're doing, explain to me. That allows them to, again, show that part of what they're doing, but it also communicates respect. It signals that, hey, I trust you in your job, and I support you. And,
I support you.
And when you need something, you have an avenue to come see me. But I also better understand
what your challenges are.
What your challenges are. And I can actually see if something's not working, I can do a better advocate to solve that problem.
Because they'll just work through it.
Yeah, and sometimes people just keep going.
They get a workaround. And when you get to go, well, why are you challenged with this? Yeah. We can solve for this. Yeah. And when you're there as a support, listening, positively reinforcing the great job they're doing, it means so much to people. Yeah. And I think that's the huge opportunity leaders have, to just go, meet people, talk to people, applaud them, and help them solve problems. Yeah. 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 Well, you've had many years of experience as a leader in many different situations. You've had a lot of role models. You have a beautiful relationship at home that has shared leadership. We have a lot of business leaders that are out there leading through change, leading through some chaotic times, and trying to navigate today's interesting business landscape. Yeah. What is one thing that you would say has really helped you as a leader that you would like to share out and let our business owners and leaders learn from?
I can say that I've learned from, much like you said, a lot of great leaders, a lot of great individuals, the good and the bad, because it becomes a conversation of you want to lead the way you would want to follow someone. And I say that because be a leader you want to follow.
Love that.
And be the follower you want to lead.
I love that.
Because it makes for a great relationship. Because many times you got to model the behavior.
Yes.
You have to be the person.
That's right.
You have to be the leader to show what right looks like. But you also have to be willing to say, hey, I made a mistake. Yeah. Hey, here's where I take ownership of the things that I didn't do or my failures. And that allows them to see, wow, I've got someone who's willing to own it if they made a mistake. And I can honestly say I've had to grow. I've had to grow through my career. I've learned in many ways what things I did right, things I could have done better, things where I'm like, hey, that's a lesson. And it's a lesson I will not, deal with again. Yeah. But it also comes down to, if you be the leader you want to follow, and people will want to follow you, and they'll do what you ask because they trust you. And that's always something I ask up front. I want you to give me your trust, because I'm going to do the things that you ask me to do. Yeah. I'm going to be the leader that you want to follow, but I'm going to be the leader that takes care of you.
Nice. Well said. You're listening to the People Playbook, and this is Coach Cora on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We're wrapping up our discussion on leading through change and high stakes and setting people up for success. That's the easiest way to achieve the mission. Thank you so much to Col Irick, a colonel in the United States Air Force, for sharing your experiences and learning in developing present leadership that makes a team mission ready. It is exceptional leadership like yours that has paid off for our country, and I thank you for all you and your family have given this great nation. And thank you again to our sponsor of today's show, Bamboo HR. Remember, your business rises and falls on your people. And when you build clear leadership, make smart hiring decisions, and lead your teams to the mission, everything else gets easier. And if you'd like help developing a people strategy that truly supports your business or guidance on any of your people challenges, you can find me at CoachCora.com.
Thank you for listening to the People Playbook. For more information, Coach Cora can be found on LinkedIn and at CoachCora.com. Let's meet here next Saturday, 2 p.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.